Hello and welcome to Startline, brought to you by the Manx Motor Cycle Club. I'm Beth Espy, and this podcast delves into the world of road racing on the Isle of Man. What does it take to take on the mountain course? From the racers and the teams to the mechanics and sponsors, it's all here on Startline. Thank you so much for downloading this episode, brought to you by the Manx Motor Cycle Club. A little bit later, we'll be heading to Derby. We're going to meet Gary Partridge, the owner of Happy Dog Image Solutions. So this is a business that really is synonymous with racing, both here on the Isle of Man and further afield as well. Among other things, they are the official provider of Manx Grand Prix merchandise. I recently went along to have a chat with Gary, and in the next episode, we'll be hearing about his racing career. But today, we're starting with something a little different, the real-life hound behind the Happy Dog name. So that's coming up a little bit later. First, though, we are catching up with Matthew Rostron. And, you know, once again, this is one of those wonderful stories about a childhood dream becoming reality through hard work, determination, and, as ever in road racing, the support of some truly amazing people. Inspired by his grandad, who was a TT sidecar driver, Matthew is a successful sidecar passenger in his own right. He'll be back at the TT again this year. But that is not all, because he's planning to tackle the mountain course on two wheels at the Classic TT. And there is another sidecar dream that he'll tell us about as well.
Hello, my name's Matthew Rostron. I live in Formby, which is just outside of Liverpool. As my racing goes, I'll be competing at the Classic TT this year. I did get turned down for the Manx, which was what we were kind of trying to look at doing as we'd concentrated on riding the arse last year. We've now got a bike that we haven't ridden yet, and it was just going to be a spare bike for the Classic, really, just to get more laps in. But it's one of them. We'll just now we know what we're doing, we can now focus on doing the Classic.
It's really tough, isn't it? I mean, it's a long time waiting for that decision, and I guess you are the same as many other people, sort of refreshing your emails all the time, waiting to see.
Yeah.
And then it's only then, I guess, that you can really plan what you're doing.
Yeah, so I only found out I was doing the Classic about 2 weeks before the newcomers weekend. So we had to make a quick decision. Grandad, my sponsor, had actually invested quite a lot of money into our R6, and I wasn't sure how he would react to it, but he couldn't have reacted any better. He looked at it as, from a safety point of view, it's probably better to go on a slower bike and learn the course that way. We're excited. We've started getting our team clothing ready and all that. So.
Take us back then, because obviously you've got a bit of a racing background, but where did it all start for you?
Yeah, so basically I fell in love with the TT when I was pretty much born. And my granddad, Brian Rostron, he did 26 as a sidecar driver. So I just basically grew up watching him. And then it was probably the last time he crossed the line. I thought, I want to have a go myself. And I was probably only 8 years old, and I remember my family always saying, "You're never going to do this," but I found a way.
Did you have a chance to talk to your granddad about it?
Yeah, so he'd always take me for laps. He retired to the Isle of Man in 2000. He did a couple more TTs after that, but when he was living there, we'd always go for a lap. He'd tell me where he crashed once or where he broke down, and I could pretty much remember everything he used to tell me. I actually lost him probably December 2024, and I thought, you know what, I'll see if I can take him for a lap with his ashes. Thankfully got that special moment to take his ashes round for a lap. My sidecar driver, Wayne, he wore like a bum bag type thing, and the scrutineers passed it, and we put his ashes in that and set off down Braille. It was really special.
Riding on the number 11 outfit, Wayne Lockie and Matthew Rostron. They've done 107.634 in practice. Wayne, unfortunately, has gone off. It's obviously got the Dirty Weekender sign on the side of his outfit there. Now, we're going to grab a word with Wayne when he comes up. Well, Matthew here. I'll just grab a quick word with Matthew if you can. Matthew, just a quick word with you. Special day for you and your family today.
Yeah, it's. I lost my granddad in December, and ever since he's passed, wanted to take him for a lap, and this is probably the closest thing I'll ever get to doing a lap with him, so it means a lot, really.
Absolutely. Brilliant stuff. And everybody, we were talking about, well, the Sidecar lot, you lot, the whole lot of your family, but there's all individual families everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, it's like a family-orientated sport, and everyone's so close. It's like when people say there's a Sidecar family, there really is, you know, so...
We'll be thinking about you on the lap today.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good man, you're very welcome. And the driver's not back yet anyway. I think he needed to go to that little blue box down there. No, not the TARDIS as well. But there you go. That's special, isn't it, Al? That is what the TT is all about. I mean, I've heard so many stories of people with extended family who've, you know, given their ashes to riders to take round just so they can have that little lap as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So on the back of that bike with Brian Rostron's ashes on the back, which is Matty's granddad, isn't it? And what a special thing that is to do a lap with your granddad.
He'd never done 100 mile an hour lap, and he always wanted that. And we did 104. I mean, that's not fast for us, but back then it was quick, yeah. So I'm happy that we got him his first 100 mile an hour lap. And he always told me as well he wanted to be scattered at Rencullen. That was like one of the things he wanted. My nan hasn't got round to doing it yet. She can't let him go yet. So, but that's one place he always told me when we did a lap that he'd want to be scattered at Rencullen. So I will be doing that one day, but I mean, I won't let him go yet.
Still early days, really, isn't it? So, yeah, but what a lovely thing. Take us back then. You had that time when you were watching your granddads, you know, sort of like early childhood, thinking it's what you wanted to do. How did you make it happen?
So it was so weird, actually. Like, so when I started racing, I did a couple of years track days and stuff. And yeah, I definitely wanted to race on solos. I never thought I'd ever be a passenger. I just thought I was too big and too heavy in some sense. I thought I'll be useless at this. But so I actually got my race license when I was 21, and I thought, oh, yeah, we'll crack on with solos and see where it takes me. Yeah, probably by the time I'm 30, I'll see where I'm at, sort of thing, on tackling the Manx. And I actually started racing at Darley Moor, and I bumped into somebody who said to me, oh, that bike needs an extra wheel. So I was like, well, yeah. Do you want to let me have a go passengering? And I never thought anything of it. And then a couple of weeks later, he texted me, he was like, oh, do you want to go to Aintree? And I was like, yeah, go on then. And I remember having a go. It was wet, and I thought, well, what's all the fuss about here? Like, it's easy. But when it dried out, I soon realised what it's like, and it was a real eye-opener. Like, the force of the brakes and stuff, I was like, geez, this is scary. But I finished fourth in my first ever race. Some people said I was a natural. And then I basically fast-tracked my way through it, really. With the same driver, did the Southern 100 in less than a year of passengering and finished fifth. So I pretty much was going out every weekend racing. And and then a couple of weeks later, I did Chimay as well, and nearly won that. I came second. And then I did have a entry for TT. So I'd only been passengering nearly 2 years and nearly got to the TT. And I tore my cartilage, so that put me out for a year. And then I did it in 2019. So I'd only been passengering three years. I did it in 3 years. And I've done all right at it, I think. If I could match that on a solo, I'd be very pleased.
I just can't even begin to imagine, though, what it's like. You know, you're sat there, your driver gets a tap on the shoulder. Is it Wayne you've always done it with?
No, so I did 1 year with Dan Knight, which was with Greenad Racing, who I'm riding the classic bike for this year.
Okay, so when you sort of have that moment where you're up to the start line and Mark Pendlebury, as it probably is, sort of gives the tap on the shoulder to the driver. I mean, you are completely out of all control then, aren't you? There is literally, I don't know,
yeah.
what goes through your head?
Yeah, just I'm not falling out of this thing. No, yeah, you get that rush of blood, and then once you're away, you're not really thinking about anything. You're just thinking about working together. I think it's important to have a good relationship with your driver, understand how each other work, and then you just work like a telepathically, I would say.
Yeah, I guess you have to have that
You know.
instinct, don't you, of just knowing what those subtle little movements mean. How aware are you as a passenger of where you are on the course at any given moment?
Yeah, so obviously I'm very fortunate. I've had family live here, live in the Isle of Man. So I know the course pretty well. I've not missed a TT since I was born, so I like to think I know where I'm going. But yeah, there is a lot of places you've got to keep your head down and stuff. But a lot of passengers look at the driver's foot on the brake and stuff like that. But yeah, I tend to just have a little peek over now and again and see where I'm at.
And I mean, you sort of mentioned your size and whatever, because you see a lot of the passengers tend to be a little bit smaller, because physically, if you're all sort of like cramped up for 37.75 miles,
Yeah.
and obviously you don't have a stop at any point, do you? But yeah, the toll on your body must be quite something.
Yeah, so we're fortunate we've got physios in this day and age. They didn't have anything back in the day, my granddad's day. But yeah, physios look after us. We get pads put on. They actually call me Princess Padding in the physio tent because I actually prepare for the bangs and the bruises. So I get the pads put on before, but a lot of passengers just wait until they get battered and bruised. But I prevent it before I start.
I love that. I hope you've got that name on a T-shirt somewhere.
They actually bought me a crown and I think they still bring it, but there's other passengers that are as bad as me.
It makes sense though, doesn't it? Because it is such a physical thing and you've got so many races and whatever that you have to be at. You can't afford to be injured, can you?
Yeah, exactly. I remember one year, my backside was really bad. So sore. Fortunately, it's not happened since, but I had to get some pads on my backside, which was kind of hard.
Bless you. I was talking a couple of weeks ago. We had Todd Ellis and Emmanuel Clement and Tim Reeves and his new passenger, Melanie Farnier, were over, and they were talking about what makes a good passenger. And Emmanuel and Todd both sort of said it's if the driver doesn't really know you're there. And I wonder from your point of view, what your experience of the drivers that you've been with and what they've needed from you as a passenger.
Yeah, I've been with a fair few lunatics in my time. Current one's a bit of a lunatic as well. But yeah, I think it's important that you get on. That's the most important thing for me. But obviously you've got to be reasonably physically fit. A lot of people think weight is like a good thing, but I would say more cardiovascular, like endurance. Like, so I do a lot of running and stuff. Obviously helps keep the weight down, but it's actually an endurance event, isn't it? So I tend to tell people, keep your running up to scratch and your cardiovascular health. Yeah, but that's my opinion. But some other passengers would tell you differently.
When you're part of a sidecar team, you kind of do everything together. So if you have any moments out on the track, you kind of can, sort of go through those afterwards and you celebrate the highs and the lows, I guess. And that's going to be something that's quite different for you, I guess, coming back to the mountain course this year.
Yeah. So I'm treating it like I'm starting again. We did the newcomers weekend it was a couple of weeks ago now, wasn't it? And to be fair, some of the stuff like Milky and that was saying, I could kind of register with being on the bike with Wayne with some of the lines and stuff. Obviously, braking points and stuff are a lot different on the sidecar. But speaking to some people like Johnny Barton, he said, "Oh, you're the sidecar passenger, aren't you? You'll be all right." But I was like, no, like I've got to treat this as a new thing. For example, as a passenger, we go off the line. The first corner I'm thinking of is Quarter Bridge. Like, I'll keep my head down. But if you think before that, there's like, how many corners? You got the top of Braille, the bottom of Braille, and Alexander Drive. There's 3 corners that I'm not thinking about when I'm a passenger. So it is going to be a lot different. And if I thought that if I was going into it, I'll be fine, you could be liable to make a mistake, I think. So I'm totally going in open-minded and I'm going to listen to everybody, what they say. And yeah, it was good doing these laps with, I think there was about 6 or 7 instructors, all had different points of view, but also helpful, and makes me feel comfortable learning it with them. And Yeah, some of them kept it, really simple. Here's the lines, and then others would go really in depth, like Milky. Milky was really in depth, but it was so interesting what he had to say. It was nice that I felt like he cared, about everybody. He told everybody he's got a duty of care to make sure you get round safely, and obviously that's nice to hear from my point of view.
Yeah, I think that just comes across from everybody who's involved with both the MGP and the Classic TT. There is that care, isn't there? Because at the end of the day, you are why this event happens, and they want to look after you and make sure you're right. But I think it's really interesting what you said, that people might think that you've got an advantage because you're so familiar with the course, but it's a completely different mentality that you're going out with.
Of course, yeah. Like I was sat in the car with a couple of riders. Another example, like Quarry Bends. You go through Quarry Bends and then there's like a little left-hander, and then you're on Sulby Straight. But when I'm passenger-in, as soon as I get through Quarry Bends, I'm thinking about Sulby Bridge. I'm not thinking about that left corner, It's so different. It will be different. And a lot of corners aren't corners when you're passenger-in. I've just got to reset and start again, sort of thing.
So we're talking now in March, obviously looking ahead to the end of August. What does life look like for you between now and then? I mean, are you hoping to get over here and do more laps? Have you got many races that you're doing?
Yeah, I haven't even sat on the bike I'm riding at the Classic TT yet. So we're looking at getting out in the end of the month, take the R6 and this 600 steel frame I'll be riding, just give them a shakedown, and then hopefully be doing the Bemsey round at Alton Park the week after, and then straight to Darley-Moor the week after that. They're my first three, and then I will look at doing an Aintree or the other Darley-Moor, and then we will do the pre-TT on the steel frame. So that will give us a good idea of what the Manx will be like on that particular bike.
And so how do you fit all of this in with family life and work and everything else?
Yeah, it's obviously very difficult, but you just got to crack on and get through it, work a bit harder, and obviously look after your family and your little one.
I mean, obviously he is only very little yet, isn't he? He's only 2, but do you reckon there's any sign there that he's going to be following you and of what your granddad did as well?
Yeah, I'm obviously not going to push him to do anything. But when he sees a motorbike going down the road, he always says, Dad. So maybe that's a little hint. I don't know.
And just talk to us then. I mean, you mentioned the team, obviously, that you're riding with, sort of going back to the team. Tell us a little bit more about them.
Yeah, so Green Ant Racing, it's a team I'm very familiar with. I've done my first Sidecar TT with them, and Ant is the main person in this team. I don't think he realises how much I appreciate his help. I wouldn't be able to do it without him. He's so handy. He preps all the bikes for me. He's such a nice man. I love him. I don't think he realises that sometimes, and now hopefully he actually is. But he is a really top man.
And with having that support, do you need much support from other sponsors?
I mean, we always want more money, don't we? Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have a bit more sponsorship, but we will do whatever it takes to get to these places. You're only here once at the end of the day, aren't you?
And when you go racing, and obviously when you come over to the Isle of Man, does the family come too?
Yeah, so this year will be a lot busier because we're doing the pre-TT as well, and then straight out on the sidecar, so that'll be interesting. But my mum and dad come over. They stay at my nan's, and then Lisa, my partner, and Reggie will be coming at some point. Not sure on the duration yet, but they'll definitely be there at some point.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it, when you've got those people who, you love so much and you want to support you in doing what you do. And especially if you're nan as well, does she go out and watch still?
Yeah, so when my granddad was ill health, he couldn't get out and watch, so my nan stayed. Last year, she actually managed to watch the races. The first lap she watched as well was my granddad's ashes going down Bray Hill. They had actually watched my first TT, but then after COVID, they couldn't get down and watch. So from my first TT, the next TT my nan watched was my granddad's ashes going down Bray Hill. I think it was a bit emotional for her.
Yeah, I bet it was. It's lovely, though, that your granddad did watch you out.
Yeah, he did actually get to watch me once, so I'm very grateful he got out, and he was always very proud of me. And even when he wasn't well, I'd always ring him straight after the race, and we used to have a good chat. how the race went and stuff. Yeah.
So lovely. And are you doing Sidecar TT again this year then?
Yeah, will be, yeah. I did have a think about it, like, would it be too much? But I just think to do more laps is just a bonus. So I will, and Wayne's very helpful anyway. His knowledge of the course is amazing. I think he's done 20 TTs now, so he's a bit of a veteran. It's a bit like racing with my dad. But yeah, his knowledge is very helpful. He actually, Wayne and Linda, they actually support my solo racing a lot as well. So I'm very fortunate to have both teams help me, really. Because a lot of sidecar drivers, I'll be honest, wouldn't accept what I do. Because racing a solo and a sidecar, if I hurt myself, obviously my sidecar driver potentially could not race. So I'm actually very grateful for Wayne as well, that he's so supportive with my solo racing. I'm a very loyal person, and you've got to remember who's been good to you, and Wayne and Linda have been very good to me over the years, so I like to give my support back to them.
So lovely. Have you ever done any sidecar driving?
Well, this is another thing I was going to talk to you about. Is my goal in life is to do all three. So I want a passenger, I want to do a solo around the mountain course, and I want to drive a sidecar. Obviously, that's what my granddad did, so I can't leave that out, you know. There's a group on Facebook, Roy Moore's Mountain Memories. So he did a chart of people that have done a solo and a sidecar race, and I think there was only 4 people that have ever done all three. So I want to be on that list, I think.
And have you got a passenger sort of like in the sidelines?
There's a few young lads coming through that have always said they'll passenger me. So I think I've got options for the future.
And have you got a time scale that you're giving yourself?
No. Wayne has actually promised me a go of driving, so I'll see how that goes first.
See how Wayne feels about that, yeah?
Yeah. Well, he thinks I've got potential, so he's watched me solo race and he thought, I've got to let you have a go at that.
That's brilliant. Well, we look forward to that as well. And do you keep up to date, Matthew, on social media so people can follow how you're doing?
Yeah, there's quite a few pages you can follow me on. Probably most active on Instagram. I think my profile's Matthew Rostron. I'm on Facebook, just Matthew Rostron. I've got Matthew Rostron Racing, the Green Ant Racing page. There's quite a lot of updates on that. Obviously with my solo racing, and then on my sidecar racing there's also Real Racing. That's my sidecar team.
Well, do you know, it's been so brilliant talking to you. Yeah, look forward to seeing you over for the pre-TT, and can't wait to hear about your sidecar driving plans as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
You know, there's a lot going on. I don't know, I think I feel exhausted just talking to you.
Yeah, it's obviously every year for me is a very busy year, but I enjoy it. You know, you can waste your life away just drinking at the weekend or lying in bed. It's good to get out and do stuff, isn't it?
Well, you're certainly doing that. Well, we shall see you back over here, and hopefully it'd be lovely to see your nan out there watching as well.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be out again. She'll be out this year in the grandstand. Thanks, Beth.
Matthew Rostron there, and some lovely photographs of Matthew with his granddad and with his nan too. It is just an incredible family story. And as always, if you'd like to follow Matthew's progress, the links are on the podcast page, so do give him a follow, and we'll catch up with him again when he's back over on the island. You're listening to Startline, brought to you by the Manx Motor Cycle Club. Now then, have you heard of Happy Dog Image Solutions? They're based in Derby, here on the Isle of Man. It's a company that, frankly, I think could brand just about anything. As the owner, Gary Partridge, himself admits, he does have a slight problem when it comes to saying no. As I mentioned, in the next episode, we're going to hear about Gary's racing career as a sidecar passenger, including some very impressive results. But first, I wanted to know where the name Happy Dog actually came from.
Oh, well, Happy Dog, that's very simple, really. Happy Dog was a beagle.
You've got a photograph, haven't you? Should we go and have a look?
I have, yeah. Yeah, he's over there, bless him. He's on the counter because, you know, it's all about the hound, really. Yeah, that's Happy Dog, the beautiful thing. So, yeah, I had this beagle, and he was like a 12-year-old boy trapped inside a beagle body. Honestly, he went everywhere with me, and anywhere that I couldn't go with Happy Dog was a place I wasn't going to be. So I had a bike shop in Ramsey doing like performance bits and whatever else for races. That sort of finished, and I've always sort of liked to paint and whatnot. So I started painting, and to be honest, Dave Molyneux, who's a fantastic painter, I mean, as well as engineer, he sort of took me under his wing and went, look, I'll show you, how to mix it and how to do it and whatever else. So I got an old shed, one of the old, I think it was a pilot testing sort of station thing. I got one of those off Norman. And we built like a spray booth within there, and I started painting. So I started with Happy Dog race paints. And then one of my sponsors, Dave Hudspeth, he wanted me to rebrand his business and open a few branches for him in the UK. So I went over and did what was supposed to be like a 3-month contract, which went on for about 4 years because he just wouldn't let go of me. But that's another story. So I sort of went over and did that. But obviously the Happy Dog was always in mind. And like my race camper was like, the bus of love. And Kinners will tell you all about that. And that was
Willie now, right?
Oh yeah, that's not that he was. No. It was like a doggy van, not a dog-in van, but it was covered in flowers, and it was fairly way out there. But yeah, so when I started doing the clothing and everything else, for me it was just a natural thing to call it Happy Dog Image Solutions, which was mega until, of course, they never last long enough, do they? So, of course, he passed. And I spent like 3 months picking up the phone, saying his name. But I'm over that now. It's all good. and we sort of rejoice in the hound and the love that he brings. So, no, it's all good.
Just for those who may not have heard of you, and I don't think there'll be many, Gary, but just tell us what Happy Dog is.
Well, Happy Dog Image Solutions is something that I started at the sort of end of my racing career. At the time, I was going to like Promenade T-shirts from a Teamwear, then Edwin Dennis from a Stickers, and then somebody else for giftware and all that sort of thing. And as I was going around, I was really happy with what I've got, but there was never any guarantee of consistency in colours and logos and feel and whatever else. So I then started doing my own stuff. I was working with one of my sponsors, my leather sponsor at the time, AM Levers. He had an embroidery machine, and I was due to ride with Dave Molyneux at the TT. We were sponsored by Kawasaki. They sent us a load of teamwear, and we just wanted one logo popping on there. Anyway, I was in there doing my final measure for my levers, and I see this machine stood there. So I said to Steve, what is this thing? And I thought it was just some sort of fancy sewing machine. He said, it's an embroidery machine. So I went, I've got some stuff that needs doing. Can you do it for us? We just want one logo. We didn't want, loads of sponsors down the arm. So it'd be dead simple, dead easy job for you. Anyway, he went, well, you can do it. If you want to have a go at it, you can have a go at it. So I was like, well, how do I use it? Anyway, he showed me how to use it. I then started doing our teamwear, and then Gaz Bryan, one of the Sidecar drivers, he popped in to get his levers, and he went, what are you doing here? I went, I'm just doing that. And he went, you're doing embroidery now? I went, well, not really, no. He went, well, I've got some stuff. Would you do that for me? Yeah, okay. So I did his stuff. And then as I'm sort of doing his stuff, another driver came in and went, what are you doing here? And it just went on and on and on. And then I did some shirts. I then ended up started racing with Gaz Bryan, and I did some sort of dare to be different sort of shirts which were just way out there for me and him. We were racing at Darley Moor at the Stars of Darley, I think, at the time. So we're walking around in these shirts, and I was getting stopped by all these teams, saying, "Who did your shirts?" They were quite impressed with them. So then it sort of just started to self-propel, really. And then from the one machine, I ended up buying that off Steve and brought another 4. And then I was doing some work for a private school just down the road. They asked, do we do mugs? Of course, my answer was, how many do you want? Their answer was 350, which is good enough for me. So I then went and got a couple of heat cut presses and, the printers that I needed for that and so on. So we started doing mugs, and then somebody says, do you do key rings? How many do you want? Do you do pens? How many do you want? And that's pretty much the way it's built. So now what we've got is like a one-stop shop where teams and companies can come to us, and we can do everything from design to, obviously the initial layout, to embroidery, the signage, the banners, the flags, the pens, the whatever. If basically the rule is, if it stands still long enough, or we can tether it down, we can get your logo on it. And that's pretty much where we are and what I say. So that's what we're about. We've branded all sorts from baby grows, lots of teams have got babies. So we'll do teamwear for adults, and then we're doing for kiddies. So yeah, being self-employed, you struggle with the word no. So it doesn't really come into my vocabulary. So we'll have a go at anything, really.
And did you have a background in design then?
Well, sort of, yeah. I mean, I think I was the only kid at school that got done for truancy, but I was still on school ground. I had a sort of what I call a selective education. So like maths, once I could count, then I thought I had that sort of, the value of pi to me was $2.99 at the co-op, and I didn't really need to know the 3.14 and 7/22 and all that sort of thing. You know, I sort of struggle to, if I have no interest, then I generally don't have an awful lot of focus. I would spend my time, I had a wonderful art teacher, so I would spend my time in the art block. So I would be at school and I'd be getting educated, but not necessarily to the curriculum. No, it was what it was. I am what I am.
There another hound? I did notice there's some food on the floor over there.
No, there's a cat who's a vagrant. He's just sort of, last TT, I was sat on a chair there doing some artwork. I think I was doing the celebratory top for the Crow Boys. We do their stuff. They're mega lads. And I was doing some artwork for their celebratory tee, you know, for their 2 wins. And all of a sudden I got this dumph on my lap. And there was this black Manxy cat just sort of curled up on my lap. And I'm like, mate, which I think his name's Tyson, but we've sort of called him Leroy and he's mega. But he sort of has moved himself in and he just walks in, helps himself he is a vagrant, helps himself to food, and then off he trots. But he's really nice. And the girls here, you know, you get these cat cafes, don't you? You know, where if they're a little bit stressed, they'll just take a little bit of time out because we're getting to our busy time now. Thankfully, we're busy all year because we do so much for so many companies. It's really, really positive. But like when it's hectic, they maybe take some time out, come down, stroke the cat, feel a little bit better, have a bit of a chill, go back, print some T-shirts.
I love that.
Yeah,
so how many people have you got working here then?
Well, when we're busy, there's about 5 of us. And then there's another lady who comes in, Beryl, who's absolutely fantastic. She sort of says she's retired, but we had a retirement due for her last year. And I gave her a semi-retirement card because it's only semi. So fingers crossed. She's not very well at the moment, so I hope you feel better soon, Beryl. But Manx Grand Prix, you know, she's definitely part of the Essential Collection, and we just love her. She's just fab, and so hopefully I can grab her in, and she can do, because we have the shop on the back of the grandstand, as you know, so we can grab her in, even if she does mornings for me. That would be super fab. So yeah, so there's 5 plus 1, and then hopefully going forward, the unit next door. We're supposed to be moving in at Christmas, but we're still waiting for the guy next door to move out. But that's life, isn't it? Hopefully, he'll be moving out, so we can then kick into next door. And then we do vans now, but as you can see, I mean, it's probably not good radio this, but as you can see, like everything here is on wheels. So when we get a van come in, it's like Charlton and the Wheelies. We'd sort of move everything around, make some space, swizzle that desk around, the cutting desk and whatnot, and then we bring the vans in, which is great because we've got the space to do it and whatnot, but it disables like the UV printer that does pens, the DTF printer that does T-shirts and garments and whatnot, and then that printer over there that does our signage, they all become disabled as such. Do you know what I mean? So, which is good because we just focus on one thing. And obviously embroidery and mugs and caps and all that could be printed upstairs. So that's fine. But it'd be so much nicer if we had just a dedicated, because we want to get more into, I think we're going to expand into wrap. We do a certain amount of that now, but like to do a car, you've got to take quite a lot of it apart. Now, obviously we can't have a car in here for 2 or 3 days with bits here, there and everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's just not viable. But if we got next door, we can be more, you know, it could be more sort of purpose built just for that, just for vans and what. So yeah, it's all good.
And it's amazing, isn't it, just how something like that grows? I'm just looking at the far wall there and seeing the Happy Dog logo. Did you paint that?
No, that's printed. Yeah, I drew it. And then the Chinese man that designed that, he's the clever man. That just came out of the printer and I laminated it and then just threw it up on the wall. But yeah, it's all about upping your image and whatnot, you know.
And, you know, when somebody, you talk about doing the team wear, and you mentioned the Crows, and obviously you do the team wear for so many of them and the Manx Grand Prix merchandise. So when somebody comes to you with a sort of a vague idea about something that they want, how long does it take from that point to make it
into a reality?
Well, if somebody sends us, well, I mean, these days, to be honest, I mean, say a year ago, it was a little bit tricky because people generally come in here with a design on the back of a fag packet or a blank piece of paper. So we'd have to start afresh. Whereas now, with AI, you talk to your phone and you get some sort of a night. So the beauty with AI is, or the plus point is, people are not coming in here with blank pieces of paper and not got a clue. They've got an idea. The negative part of that is we have to then reproduce that because AI isn't the sort of quality that we need to print and to produce from. So like we had the Christie brothers won the World Championships this year at the Formula One, and they rang me at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was sampling their design. So I'd done the design. They didn't have anything on AI, so we did that from fresh. So by 2 o'clock, that design was done. They were like, love that. It doesn't always happen, but is a positive. I sent that to the GCF. That was sampled. I sent 2 of them as samples to the driver and the passenger. They were wearing it the next day on social media, and then they press released it, and we've done, I think, about 80 T-shirts since. We sent some yesterday. So we can pretty much turn it around. Because we deal with lots of race teams, like we deal with David Knight. David Knight, he'll come on the way to the airport because he's a boy, isn't he? He'll come on the way to the airport with 5 shirts and go, can you? And of course, we never say no. So I go, right, at what time's your plane? So we get them done. And then the beauty of David is he's 5 times world champion. He can go anywhere and get done stuff for free. And he knows that, we are a business, and he appreciates that. And he likes what we do. We do his vans because he's into motorhomes and all sorts now. So we do those for him as well. And the response we always get from David, which I love, is full factory. And that's what he'll say to us, everything's full factory, which is mega. So that's good for us because, you start to feel good about what, we do feel good about what we're doing anyway, because we do the best of what we can with what we've got, which I think is important. But it's good for the staff as well because, they get to see, that we've got guys that are coming that could, like Tim Reeves and others, that could probably get stuff done for free that will come and they'll actually pay us for, because they like what we do and they're into what we're doing. So it's all very positive, really. It's all very sun and shine. It's always sunny in Derby, which is why we're in Derby, apart from when it's raining or snowing. But mainly it's sunny in Derby.
Do you know, the sun absolutely shines a little bit brighter in Derby, doesn't it? That was Gary Partridge, owner of Happy Dog Image Solutions. It really is a great team he's built there. Gary says he couldn't do it without them. I am quoting here. He's got Dan Zaman, AJ, Gemma, also known as Boris, apparently. Need to find out where that nickname came from. Beryl, who we really do hope is feeling much better. And, of course, Leroy the cat. And as I mentioned earlier, Happy Dog produces the official Manx Grand Prix merchandise. We'll have some photographs and video from the visit appearing on the Startline social media pages very shortly. Also the details of how to get in touch with Happy Dog if you'd like something branded. And as I say, I reckon he could probably do just about anything. In the next episode, Gary will be telling us about his racing career. Do keep an eye out for that one. That is all for now, though. A big thank you to the Manx Motor Cycle Club for supporting this podcast. And if you'd like to get in touch and be part of it, the details are coming up. Thank you very much indeed for listening to this episode of Startline. Do take some time to find the riders on social media. Your support is very much appreciated. And if you'd like to get in touch with me and be part of the podcast in the future, you can email beth@startline.im. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.